The Miami Board of Realtors decided that all commissions to buyers agents or co-brokers is now out of the MLS officially. Somebody sent me an article saying that brokerage commissions will completely be eliminated, which is a really misleading headline. And there's a lot of misleading information going around. Sellers agents for sure aren't going away. With this new law, as of August 17th, the confusion is what is considered working with a buyer? If you're showing them a property, is that considered working with a buyer? If you're at open house and a buyer walks through, is that considered working with a buyer? If you're talking to a buyer and you're sending them information through the MLS, is that considered working with a buyer? There's a lot of confusion with that. I know Colorado passed a law and said that's not considered working with a buyer. What's considered working with a buyer is when you start pulling comparables and start talking about the market, then you're actually working for the buyer and working with the buyer. That seems to make a hell of a lot of sense for me. I completely agree with that. The other thing is that once you're quote unquote working with your buyer, you have to get them to sign a buyer's agency agreement, which basically is going to spell out how the commission is going to be paid. If the seller is going to pay a commission or you're the buyer, you're pretty much going to guarantee you're going to pay a certain percentage of my commission as a buyer's agent. There's a lot of confusion with that. What ifs? Buyer's agents aren't going to go away, and I think sellers for the most part know how important it is for them to pay a buyer's agent. Will there be some unscrupulous people saying, well, I'll list your property for 3% and then it's saving you 3%, and then the buyer's agent will have to bring their own buyer's money and the buyers will have to pay their buyer's agent. That's going to happen. But for the most part, at least when I take a listing, I'm going to tell them, listen, nothing's changed. It's still the normal. Buyers will have to come with a buyer's agent that'll have to show that they have a buyer's agency signed. We're going to work with them, and we want to open the biggest pool of buyers out there so we can bring as many people as possible. Not put restraints already on buyers and buyer's agents, and maybe they're barely getting by just to get the deposit plus your closing costs. Now you're going to add another 3% on top. That's going to weed some people out, and that's going to hurt some people. And we need in our market first-time home buyers. We need those FHA home buyers. We need them to start earning equity. We need them to get into the market. You're making it almost impossible for them to get into the market. Now, I'm not talking about on the higher end. I'm talking, on Miami Beach, it's a different story. But so let's go back to saying, oh, okay, we're going to eliminate paying all buyer's agents. So a buyer's going to go and say, oh, I could do it myself. So you go to the listing agent. Listing agent says, okay. Now the listing agent most likely has some kind of an agreement with the seller. Either they pay him 6%, or if the buyer comes direct, they're going to pay him a percentage less, but it'll be more than 3%. Now the seller's agent is going to make all the money. But the buyer is going to be there by himself. Who's going to help him with contract? Who's going to help him with inspections? Who's going to help him with appraisals? Who's going to go through inspections and maybe have to renegotiate with the seller on their behalf? Who's going to make sure they make all their deadlines? Who's going to help him with financing? Who's going to help him with deposits? Who's going to help him explain everything? Who's going to make all those appointments? You think it's so easy that you're going to go to Zillow and these realtors are going to answer you on a timely manner and you're going to make 10 appointments and you're just going to be able to go through house to house? That takes a lot of time. I know people here are very busy. That's what part of our job. And that takes a lot of time. People think we just open one door and then presto, we have an offer and here we go. Let's start negotiating and let me collect my commission. No, there's hours and hours and hours of behind the scene work that go into this. You got to deal with so many personalities that you never know what you're going to get. You have a seller's agent, maybe that's not the best, not responding, not cooperative. You have attorneys on both sides. You have a lender. You have an appraiser. Sometimes appraisers come from other areas. They're not familiar with the area. You got to make sure you explain the area to them, have comps for them, the positives of the house that you're trying to sell compared to some of the comparables. Try to be honest with everybody. That takes time. Let's say, you work in sales somewhere else, maybe South Miami. Are you going to take time to drive all the way back somewhere just to deal with all these issues? For you, it wouldn't make sense. It really wouldn't. Just to save a commission, and you're going to spend more time going up and back, trying to negotiate with people, spending hours on the phone. The whole thing doesn't make more sense. And then for somebody to come out and say, realtors' commissions will be gone. It's so stupid. I mean, talk about a headline to draw attention. Ridiculous. I think it's going to work itself out at the end. I know that the Justice Department's ultimate goal is to decouple commissions. I really don't see that going away. I think that we're going to stay the way we've always stayed. And we're just going to have to inform the public of all this misinformation that people are spewing out there and then promoting their own for sale by owner. You can do it yourself, send me $1,500. go for it. I wish you luck. It's really sometimes a very difficult situation, especially when you got some personalities there that you may not bond with. I wish everybody luck. I think we'll get through this. Let me know if you have any comments, what misinformation you've seen, what questions you may have. I'm here to answer them. And wishing you everybody the best.